Hi, welcome to Monday Minutes. I'm Nick.
And my name is Jessie, and this week we are here to talk to you about all the fabulous new things that are coming with acquisitions in the 24/11 release. And Nick, are you excited or what?
I couldn't be more excited. We've got a lot of improvements in the acquisitions, and I think librarians are going to be really excited about this stuff.
I do too. And, Nick and I were running through some of the updates in the system, and we're like, even the little things where, maybe the link wasn't clickable before, but now it is clickable. Just the little things that make your workflow much easier. And
Yeah.
so we're going to jump in with right to that first one. So when you come into acquisitions, Nick, what do we see on the first page now?
Ooh, we got a search right there. What is that about?
Yes. So one of the new enhancements brings search orders as a new platform right on the main page of acquisitions. So in prior releases, we would see the ability to search for vendors and then it would jump right into our budget. So now you can come in here and if you're looking for something to see if all copies were received, or maybe you're looking for a specific vendor to, update an account, whatever it may be, you can start right from the main page, Nick.
Excellent. Makes things so much nicer.
Makes things so much nicer. Okay, the next one is I'd just say like a workflow enhancement. When we are looking at invoices, Nick, there's a lot of ways that we can get to an invoice, whether it is, we're jumping in and searching for an invoice, or we've gone through the entire process and we're getting ready to, actually receive something within the system. Tell us about the new enhancement now, which just a little makes it a little bit easier.
This is just one of those small improvements. We've added a link so that when you're here receiving the orders, if you need to look at the invoice, see what you've already received, kind of see what the shipping was, you can open that right now and get right back to that invoice and kind of make adjustments to it right there. So nice.
So nice. Just a simple click, which makes it easy. And this is a oldie but goodie. This was 88.55 in Bugzilla, so
Ooh.
going back quite some time. Okay. The next enhancement that we're going to talk about is in cataloging for those of you that are using the stage MARC records for import. So if you're bringing in records from an outside source and you're bringing those records into the system, when you're in acquisitions and you're essentially adding those to a basket, we'll talk a little bit about what you'll see here. You'll notice when we're looking at these files, we can see this either from a new file or from a staged file. And when we come in here to add those orders into the system, Nick, talk about the clarity that is being provided now.
So the buttons used to, you had the mark view, the card view, which would just show you the record itself. And then you had add order. And people were confused about what add order was. And essentially, this is just a button that will place through the order. So we called it new order. Tried to make it a little clearer for everybody.
Exactly. So again, just little things that help with workflow and clarity within the
Mhm.
acquisitions module.
Now, Jay-Z, what if I don't want to have to manually stage my files? Is there anything I can do?
Well, yes, Nick, that takes us right into our next amazing new enhancement. So, for those of you that are purchasing titles from an outside vendor, Baker and Taylor, Ingram, Midwest Tapes, you now have the ability to do something that the industry refers to as one click. So what this allows you to do is rather than going to Baker and Taylor's TS360 site or to Ingram's iPage site, where you manually download those MARC records and then manually import them into Koha, you now have an option to set up an SFTP connection from that vendor to Koha.
This one is fantastic. I think librarians have been wanting this for years. So essentially, it's going to take some work with the vendor, and you'll have to talk to us to get that whole backend set up. But then, and you define things here in the administration under MARC order accounts. Um, and what you'll do is once you define how that connection is set up, then when you create your basket on the site, you'll just click one click order, and they will send the file to our servers at Bywater. We'll pick up that file and process it according to all the settings that we've set up here in this MARC order accounts.
So in essence, this is saving you some time from manually downloading and physically uploading it in your Koha system. Now, in your MARC order accounts and administration, this is where you're going to identify the vendor that you're working with. And we'll walk through the fields just so you can kind of understand what's helping us set this information up. So the first thing you're selecting is your vendor. Now, for those of you that have multiple accounts with vendors, we'll use Baker and Taylor as an example. Lots of you have an account for Baker and Taylor, perhaps for adult, maybe a different account for, juvenile or children's material. You can set up different parameters for each one of those accounts with those vendors so you can bring in all types of things into Koha. You can set up the fund that is the default within the system, and this is just like the fallback. So if you don't have the fund mapped in your 9XX fields, it will look at this field to identify which one it is.
Yeah.
The next thing you'll see is a description. Again, you'll work with Bywater Solutions or your support provider to set this up. And basically what this is a secure file transfer protocol that allows the vendor to send the MARC records to us, and then we grab those files to build your basket within the system.
Like Jay-Z was saying, if you have multiple accounts, you can specify how we can identify what those accounts are. So you've got the match field and the match value. You'll just ask the vendor to put in that account somewhere within the MARC record, and you can use these so that only the files that include these values get mapped to this account.
Awesome. And the rest of the options here are just what we're used to seeing when we're staging those MARC records for import. So our import settings, are they bib records, UTF encoding, and/or are we matching those records in the system? Once we have those set up, when you are one-clicking those items into the system, it will look at these parameters to automatically build the basket in acquisitions.
Yay!
It is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, we have one last acquisitions update, and that ties into purchase suggestions. So for those of you that use the purchase suggestion feature within Koha, we are going to talk about permissions. So prior to the 2411 release, there was one permission that pertained to purchase suggestions, and that was the manage suggestions. So basically, if you had access to manage suggestions, you had access to everything in the system.
So what we've done is we've just made this more granular. Anybody who had the manage suggestions permission will have all the new suggestions permissions. But now if you click on that, you'll see we've expanded it out. So you have 3 different. You can create purchase suggestions, delete purchase suggestions, and edit purchase suggestions. This way you can have, your circ staff at the desk who just create the suggestions. They get them from the patron, put them in the system. Then you can have your ordering staff be the ones who edit and delete those purchase suggestions. It just allows us to define, a little bit more of those roles within Koha and give us some flexibility about what people can do.
I love it. So just a quick highlight of some of the new features and functionality that you'll see in acquisitions and purchase suggestion management, and we couldn't be more excited.
Woohoo!
All right, y'all. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.